Every Stillwater angler knows the frustration of casting all day without a tug. But what if the secret actually came down to three simple words: DRP? We're talking depth, retrieve, and pattern. This system, taught to me by Phil Rowley, changed the way I fish forever and how I still fish today. I'm going to break it all down for you guys in this episode of the Stillwater Edge podcast, so stick around.
Welcome to Stillwater Edge, the ultimate podcast for stillwater fly fishing enthusiasts. I'm your host, Greg Keenan, and in each short, action-packed episode, I'll share expert tips, essential techniques, and clever tricks to help you elevate your stillwater fly fishing game to the next level.
Welcome to the Stillwater Edge podcast. I'm your host, Greg Keenan. Today we got a great show for you guys. Today we're going to talk about a very powerful stillwater system called the DRP. That stands for depth, retrieve, and pattern. This is the framework I learned years ago from Phil Rowley, one of the best in the business, and it's still the foundation of how I approach every lake that I fish today. Let's get right to it. I want you to take 2 seconds and remember that, write it down, do whatever you got to do, put it in your stillwater bank. Remember DRP, depth, retrieve, and pattern, because that is going to change how you fish for the rest of your careers. So number one, without a doubt, depth. The first and most critical variable in the DRP system is depth. If you're not fishing at the right depth, you're not even in the game. I can't make it any more simpler. If you're not fishing at the right depth, you're not even in the game. Water trout are depth sensitive. That's what they do. They are depth sensitive. They feed in specific zones tied to oxygen, food, ecosystem, food sources, temperature, like so much, right? That's what they do. They're depth sensitive. They want to feed in 20, they're going to feed in 20. They want to feed in 3, they're going to feed in 3. But if you're fishing 20 and they're in 3, you are not even in the same, even close to the same game. So with saying that, the depth changes everything. Depth is the number one rule. I want you guys to think about this. Start shallow. So what do? I start shallow. Everyone knows my favorite is, between that 10 to 15 or 10 to 16 kind of feet, even 6, right? So start shallow, right? Start shallow, work it and work it out, right? So you're starting in that littoral zone and you're working it out to the deeper water, right? You can use an indicator system to cover that mid-water column depth. You can use it to hover on the bottom. You can use your cast and strip. Doesn't freaking matter what you do as long as you're starting shallow and you're working that area, right? Adjust your leader length, adjust your sink type, full sink, intermediate sink. It doesn't matter, right? You just need to be adjusting and working that specific area to find the depth. I remember Phil's lesson to me was depth is the deal breaker, right? You can have the right fly and the right retrieve, but if you're at the wrong depth, it's all blank, man. And that today sticks with me like a sore thumb. Depth is key. Remember that. Depth is key. Number 2, retrieve, right? So retrieve is how you animate the fly, how you make the fly move. Slow retrieve, slow move. Fast retrieve, fast move, right? Very simple. So how you bring your fly to life is really, really, really important. If the fish want a static fly that's not moving, like in that slower springtime where everyone's lethargic, or in that winter fishing, right, where they want to just come right up and hit it. Do you know what I mean? I've seen guys ice fish with a piece of corn, an unnatural piece of corn, and it just hangs down off a hook, and you hear of them catching 40 fish days off a piece of corn. Okay, so your fly is no different. If they want something that's easy because they don't want to expend that energy, right, then that's your retrieve. It's a static retrieve. You're not even retrieving, static presentation. But for a retrieve, right, what I found is that the zone in the next adjustment is how you move the fly. Trout don't always want the same thing. They don't always want strip, strip, pause. They might want slow hand strip. They might want roly-poly, right? They might want so many different strips, it doesn't matter. But you need to figure out the retrieve. So you need to switch it up. I literally wrote a course on retrieves, stillwater retrieves, because that is like so damn important, right? So you need to mix up slow hand retrieves, long pulls. Maybe they want a fleeting bait fish or a minnows, right? Like a long pull, right? They want stuff like that. Erratic strips, right? Like stop, boom, boom, boom. Like, they want hand twists. There's so many different retrieves that we can mix into our cadence to present to those fish, right? But you need to pay attention when you're retrieving what triggered the take. That's important as well, okay? So was it the pause? Was it the pull? Was it, a long strip? It doesn't matter. You need to pay attention what that was and mimic that exact thing again that took the take. That's what's key, right? Number 3, the pattern, right? The last piece of the puzzle of really figuring out still waters, right? Only after you've dialed in the depth and the retrieve should you focus on the fly choice. I mean, you kind of know what's going on, right? But I mean, I could, if I know that they're feeding in 20 feet of water, okay, and I know that they want a fast moving fly, I feel confident that I could fish a leech or a goldfish or a booby in that same water column and get the same results. Again, I'm going to say that I fished 3 different flies in that same water column with the same retrieve. I feel confident that I could catch a fish on that. It's just due to the depth, the retrieve, and then the pattern. So what I mean by that is this. So after we've dialed in our depth and dialed in our retrieve, that we focus on our fly choice. So we want to match our hatch if we can. So if it's chironomids, we want to match to chironomids, and we can do a slow pinch strip. Okay. If it's scuds or leeches, same thing. Dragonfly nymphs, we can do faster, right? So that's when we can start switching up our flies. If you're not sure, start with your confidence fly. You guys all know mine's like a balanced leech. I love it. I think it's one of the best confidence flies out there. Very successful fly. But remember, patterns matter, but the final tweak is not the first tweak, right? So this is not your first kind of thing. You need to find that depth first. Find the depth, do the retrieve, do the pattern, boom. When I learned this system from Phil, like personal story here, like honestly, I remember fishing with Phil. I was struggling to figure a few things out, and he showed me. He's like, "Hey, we want to find this. We want to hit this area." And we were there. We were doing some guesswork on some lakes earlier on, right? And he just drilled into me the depth retrieve pattern, right? That framework, and it stuck with me. I remember we were fishing. We got into some fish. We had instant hookups right away once we kind of switched things around, and it worked. Right. And ever since then, I've been a fair believer of it. So I really want to install with you guys that is how you need to approach Stillwater in general, depth retrieve patterns. So here's my takeaway from this episode, because again, it's a kind of a personal episode or whatnot, a little personal journey here, but it's also informational because without the depth, you're not going to get anything. So the next time you're on a lake and you're not connecting, make sure you remember, think to yourself, what's my depth? Adjust your depth until you find fish. Vary your retrieve until you get a take. Right? Refine your pattern until you know what they're feeding on. And that is going to do everything for you guys. So if you see they're on the surface, that's your depth, right? Your pattern, right? If you see they're on the surface, let's say it's a dry fly. They're on the surface, dry fly, boom, cast that out. And you're pulling that dry fly, or you're casting to rise forms and giving that a bit of an animation, and you start getting hits, awesome. You know what you're doing. Next thing is it a caddis, or is it a sedge, or is it, like a dry fly? Picked out the pattern, pick out what's going to work, right? Is it a parachute, Adams? It doesn't matter, right? You need to then match that fly, and you'll start really ramping up that increased rates. So honestly, guys, stick to that process. You'll unlock more fish than you could ever imagine. You'll become a Stillwater master and legend as well. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Stillwater Edge podcast. If you're new to Stillwater, don't forget, guys, I have a course coming out with a intro into Stillwater course. It's going to be fundamental. It's going to be great. It's going to walk you through everything step by step. I'm currently working on it. It's kind of like a sneak episode. So make sure when it comes out, you look for that, because I want to give you guys the tips, the tricks, everything to up your Stillwater game so you guys can be Stillwater legends. As always, I will see you on the water. Like and share this episode if you found value in it. Please subscribe to the show. Help me grow. Help everything so we can get this community rocking. I will see you guys around.